I heard her say it like a knife sliding out of its sheath. I pretend to care as long as he's paying. I'm not about to argue with a credit card. She leaned in, whispered it to her friend like they were sharing some harmless gossip. Then they laughed. Loud, careless, like it was all just a game they'd already won. They didn't know I was 2 shelves away, close enough to hear the tremor of truth under every syllable. I was holding our passports, a folder stuffed with printed itineraries, reservations, tickets, insurance cards. The whole trip. A coastal vacation, 5 days, 4 nights. I'd planned it all to the last detail. Hannah had even circled the name of the aquarium in blue marker. We were supposed to leave in 3 days. 40 minutes later, the tickets were canceled. The hotel gone. The car rental refunded. The museum passes deleted from my email. Her first clue was a ping on her phone. Payment declined. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I walked past them, past the bestsellers and magazines, out the front doors and got into the car. I didn't turn on the engine right away. Just sat there. Air thick with summer. Windows up. No sound except my own breathing and the buzz of something that had finally snapped. My name is John. I'm 42. I work in logistics out of Des Moines. I've been married for 3 years. Susan came with 2 daughters. Liv is 17. Casey is 14. I have a daughter of my own, Hannah. She's 9. Soft-spoken. Bright. She's the only one who doesn't make me feel like a trespasser in my own life. Liv never liked me. I knew that. But I hoped really, that she at least respected me. Or would fake it for her mother's sake. For the sake of decency. But Liv doesn't play that way. She doesn't need to. She figured out early on that she could just take. And that no one would make her stop. New shoes? Paid. Streaming services? Covered. Field trips, upgraded phones, extracurriculars, rides to parties, always me. Susan would look at me with that soft, tired smile and say, "You're doing it for the family." And I believed I was. I convinced myself that if I stayed steady, if I gave enough, earned enough, kept my temper down and my hands open, maybe they'd stop seeing me as an intruder. Maybe they'd let me in. But Liv? She lit up for her biological dad. He'd come around every couple of months with cheap jokes and cheaper promises. Empty-handed. No follow-through. Still, she lit up like a candle. Called him Dad, like it meant something. Clung to him like he was gold. And me? I was the one who cleaned up afterward. I was the one she rolled her eyes at the second the front door closed. I told myself that teenagers are complicated. That it takes time. But time doesn't help when the foundation is fake. Then came the sentence. That one sentence in the bookstore. Spoken like a truth so obvious it didn't need whispering. He's just a wallet. Once he stops paying, I'm out. I didn't exist to her. I was a credit limit with legs. Something in me buckled. Not dramatically. Not like glass shattering. Just a subtle, internal fracture like a beam sagging under too much weight. You don't hear it snap. You just start noticing the floor tilts a little when you walk. I didn't tell Susan what I heard. Didn't mention it when we got home. I kept it to myself. But something changed. In me. I started watching. I watched Liv talk sweet to Susan, then ignore me at dinner. Watched Casey mimic her tone, rolling her eyes when I asked about school. I watched Susan let it all slide. "They're just teenagers," she'd say. "It's a hard age. But respect doesn't have an age limit." I wasn't asking to be called Dad. I wasn't asking for affection. I just wanted acknowledgement. A thank you now and then. A nod. A glance that wasn't loaded with contempt. It never came. What came instead was silence. Not peaceful silence. Dismissive silence. The kind that tells you exactly where you rank. And I started keeping track. Liv's Spotify family plan? On my card. Casey's math tutor every Tuesday? Paid by me. Susan's phone? My account. The electricity? The groceries? The car insurance? Me. It wasn't about money. It was about being used. Every dinner I cooked. Every movie night I planned. Every weekend I spent fixing their bikes or clearing out the garage or mowing the lawn while they lounged around watching shows. I started to see it differently. Not as giving. As being bled. Hannah noticed. She's quiet, but she's not blind. She saw me withdraw. Saw me eat alone at the counter instead of the table. Saw me turn off my phone after work. I stopped checking in. Stopped making plans. Susan noticed too, but she didn't ask. And when she did, it was in passing. Like she wasn't sure if she wanted the answer. "You've been quiet lately," she said once, folding laundry. "Just tired," I said. It wasn't a lie. I was tired, but not from work. I was tired of paying for smiles that vanished the second I turned away. I started going back through old texts. Liv's birthday last year. I wrote, "Proud of the young woman you're becoming." No reply. Her grades came back, high marks. I sent a thumbs up. "Great job." Nothing. Casey used to respond. Small stuff. But over time, that faded. She followed Liv's lead. I watched Susan text with them constantly, but not once did she say, "Hey, did you thank John for this?" Not once did she remind them I was the one who stayed. That's what broke me, I think. Not Liv's words. Not even Casey's mimicry. It was Susan's silence. Because silence isn't neutral. It's agreement. When you see someone being erased and you don't speak, then you're helping erase them. So I sat with that, night after night. Sat with the knowledge that the woman I loved was fine watching me be reduced to a transaction. And I started wondering, if I left, would anything change? Would the girls even notice? Would Susan fight for me? Or would she just shift the bills to someone else and keep the rhythm going? These weren't wild thoughts. They were slow, methodical, like a man checking the exits in a burning building, not because he's running, but because he knows eventually he'll need to. And I kept replaying Liv's voice in my head. He's just a wallet. Just like that's all I was. All I'd ever be. And in that moment, something hardened in me. I didn't say anything that night. Didn't cancel anything yet. I just sat with it. Let it calcify. Because a man doesn't walk away over one sentence. But sometimes one sentence is the proof he's been looking for. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. Didn't wait for the coffee to brew. Didn't check the weather. I sat at the table with my laptop, the blue glow casting long shadows across the kitchen tiles. And I started shutting it all down. The flights, the hotel, the prepaid excursions, the concert tickets Liv had asked for just in case we could squeeze them in. Gone. I didn't do it in anger. I did it like a surgeon, steady, clinical, precise. One subscription after another. Cancelled. One payment at a time. Removed. I opened the mobile plan account. Removed Liv's line. Then Casey's. Changed the password. The billing plan dropped by $80 instantly. I moved our family Spotify account to a single user plan. Hulu? Downgraded. Amazon Prime? Cancelled. I left only the essentials. What Hannah used. What I used. That was it. I didn't text anyone. Didn't explain. Let the silence speak for once. By noon, Liv tried to order a dress online. Something for the vacation we weren't going on anymore. Payment declined. Then she checked her streaming apps. Locked out. Susan called from work. Did the payment fail? Liv said her phone plan. I said, I took her off the account. A pause. Why? I kept my voice even. Because she said I only matter as long as I'm paying. So I stopped paying. She didn't speak. I didn't fill the silence. Eventually, she said, You could have told me. I didn't think I needed permission. And I hung up. That night, Liv slammed her bedroom door hard enough to rattle picture frames. Casey followed suit. Dramatic footsteps. Exaggerated groans. The symphony of teenage protest. I sat on the couch with Hannah. We watched a nature documentary. She asked questions about coral reefs, then drifted off with her head on my arm. Susan didn't say much. She came in, took her shoes off quietly, walked past us like we were furniture. In the kitchen, I could hear her texting. I didn't care. The house had changed. Not just the tension, but the weight. It was lighter. No one was pretending anymore. By the end of the week, I had separated our finances. New bank account. New password. I moved my direct deposit. The joint account now had enough to cover basics, food, utilities, but not the extras. Not the wants. Only the needs. From then on, I paid only for Hannah. Her clothes. Her school supplies. Her meals. Susan noticed. She didn't confront. She'd just frown when the fridge wasn't as full. When the Wi-Fi was slower. When Casey complained that there was nothing good to eat. That Saturday, the girls were planning to go to a party. Liv needed a ride. Needed to be picked up later. Assumed she'd have the car. I reminded her that the insurance policy had been changed. Only one name on it now, mine. I'd removed the second driver. No coverage. No keys. She didn't believe me at first. Checked. Found out the hard way. Then exploded. "You knew I needed to go tonight," she shouted, standing at the top of the stairs like some angry heiress being denied her royal decree. "No," I said calmly. "I didn't know I was still expected to help people who treat me like a joke." Her mouth opened, closed. Susan stood behind her, arms crossed, but said nothing. Eventually, they left without a word. Probably found another ride. I didn't ask. Later that night, I took Hannah to the park. We shared a sundae. Watched the ducks chase each other under the lamplight. She told me about a classmate who brought a turtle to school in his backpack. We laughed, and it felt real. Not forced. Not staged for approval. For the first time in months, I wasn't calculating how much I was giving versus how little I was getting back. I was just being a father. Not a provider. Not a wallet. A father. The next day, I took the family desktop and wiped it. Backed up the files. Changed the admin password. Reinstalled only what Hannah needed for school. The older girls had their own laptops anyway. Bought with my help, sure, but that era was ending. Susan noticed the shift. One night, she said, "You're being different. I'm done being used." She blinked, as if the concept confused her. "You're punishing them." "No," I said. "I'm respecting myself." It wasn't a confrontation. It was a statement. And once I said it, I realized I meant it completely. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was simply stepping out of the role they had written for me. The role of the man who never says no, who bankrolls rebellion, who smiles while being ignored. That man was gone. What came next was colder. Sharper. Liv started trying to manipulate again. Compliment here. A soft question there. "Can you help me with this paper? I heard you're good at this stuff." I answered with flat sentences. Nothing rude. Just clean, transactional responses. She gave up quickly. Casey stayed quiet. She wasn't as aggressive as her sister, but she didn't defend me either. She played the middle. And Susan started cooking less, talking less, rolling her eyes more, like I was ruining something. But the truth was, I wasn't ruining anything. I was revealing it. Because when love is real, it doesn't dissolve when the money dries up. And ours was dissolving. I started going to bed early. Started waking up earlier too. Used that time to take walks with Hannah. We'd hit the trail behind our neighborhood. Talk about nothing. Let the birdsong fill in the silence. She told me she wanted to be a vet. Or maybe a baker. Or maybe both. She was still a child. But she saw everything. One morning, as we walked past a neighbor's yard where a sprinkler made rainbows in the sun, she said, "Are you sad?" I said, "Sometimes." "Because of them?" I paused, then nodded. She took my hand. Didn't speak again. That one gesture meant more than all the birthdays and holidays I'd bought combined. The next time Liv asked for gas money, I said, "Ask your mom." She rolled her eyes. "You always used to help. I used to believe I mattered." That shut her up. Susan asked me that night, "How long are you planning to keep this up?" I looked at her. "Until someone shows they see me as a person, not a payment." She didn't reply. We went to bed back to back again. That had become our default. In the dark, I whispered, "You let them treat me this way." And from the silence beside me, I heard the quiet exhale of guilt. But no denial, just stillness. A week later, I took Hannah to look at a rental apartment. Just one bedroom, small but clean, safe neighborhood, walking distance to her school. She smiled when she saw the view. A little courtyard with picnic tables. A dog with a tennis ball. Place that didn't smell like tension. I like it, she said. I nodded. Me too. And I realized home isn't where the family is. It's where you're allowed to feel human. Moving day was quiet. No drama. No shouting. I packed what mattered, my tools, a few clothes, Hannah's books and toys. The lease was signed. The deposit paid. The truck rented. Susan stood in the doorway of our bedroom. She didn't ask me to stay. Just watched me fold the shirts I'd bought with overtime pay into a duffel bag. She's going to hate you for this, she said, meaning Liv. I zipped the bag and looked up. She already does. There wasn't anything else to say. Hannah helped me carry boxes. She held the door when I rolled the suitcase out. She looked back only once. Her room was already half empty. Books gone, blanket gone, the drawing of her and me fishing peeled off the wall. She was ready, or maybe just done pretending. The new place was simple. 1 bedroom, courtyard view, rent half what the mortgage was. I gave Susan the house. Let her have it. Let Liv and Casey call it theirs. Let them walk the same floors and see what was left when I stopped filling it. The first night in the apartment, Hannah and I shared a frozen pizza on the floor. No table yet. No chairs. Just a couple of blankets and a borrowed lamp. She laughed at something on TV, then leaned her head against my shoulder like it was the most natural thing in the world. Feels less loud here, she said. She was right. It was the kind of quiet that didn't come from tension but peace. I slept better than I had in months. The next morning I checked my email. A message from Susan. Subject line, "We need to talk." I didn't open it. Instead, I went to the bank. Moved the last of my funds into a private account. Left just enough in the old one to cover the remaining utility bills for the month. I wasn't being cruel. I was being final. They'd never said thank you for what I gave. But I wanted to make sure they couldn't say I left them with nothing. The fallout came fast. 3 days later, Liv messaged me. "Spotify's down. Did you change the plan?" No greeting. No emotion. Just a demand. I didn't respond. Then Casey. "Why can't I log into Hulu?" No punctuation. No warmth. Just entitlement. Again, I said nothing. Susan called that night. I let it ring. Then ring again. Eventually, she left a voicemail. Her voice was flat. Controlled. "You've made your point. The girls are confused. Hurt. We need to find a middle ground." I played the message twice. Then deleted it. There is no middle ground between being seen and being used. By the end of the week, Liv was texting daily. "Can you just help with gas this once? I need to print something. My printer's out. I don't have my Uber app set up." Always a need. Never a name. Never John. Never thank you. Just invoices, written in guilt. I didn't pay them. Susan finally texted on Sunday. "I told them what you heard." Liv said she didn't mean it. She was joking. I stared at the screen. A joke. That's the defense. I typed back, "A joke is when both people laugh." Didn't send it. What was the point? Instead, I opened the family calendar app we used to share. Deleted my access. Removed my name from the meal plan spreadsheet. The grocery list. Unsubscribed from the rhythm of a house that had never truly been mine. And then, as the final step, I called the insurance company. Updated my auto plan to cover only my car. Removed Susan's vehicle. The woman on the phone asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes," I said. And that was that. The fallout wasn't loud. It was slow. Tectonic. Liv stopped texting. Casey didn't try again. But Susan started unraveling. She sent me a photo of the fridge. Empty but for mustard and a bottle of wine. She said, "We're not okay here." I didn't answer, because I was okay. And I wasn't going back to where okay meant dying quietly. Then the phone rang. Not Susan. Not Liv. Someone else. Her ex Liv's biological father. He left a voicemail. A raspy, tired voice that sounded like someone trying to sound stronger than they were. "Hey man, I heard what's been happening. Maybe we could talk? I mean, we both care about the girls. Maybe there's something we can work out." I replayed it once, then laughed. The man who vanished for years, who sent birthday cards late, who showed up smelling like bar nights and bad credit. Now he wanted to work something out, because the man he never thanked had stopped doing his job. I didn't respond. Let him feel what it's like to shout into silence. The silence I lived in for 3 years. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. A mutual friend told me Casey was living with her grandmother now. Too much chaos at home. Not enough food in the fridge. Liv had gotten a part-time job. Retail. She told someone it was just for the summer. But I knew better. Susan posted a cryptic status online. Sometimes people aren't who you think they are. I almost replied. Almost typed. Sometimes they are. You just refuse to see it. But I didn't, because that would mean I still cared enough to explain. I didn't. Hannah and I bought a small dining table. Built it together. Screws stripped, wood splintered once. But we laughed. She called it our table. Drew her name under the corner in pencil. Every morning we ate breakfast there. No noise. No tension. No one storming upstairs. I started reading again. Writing. I found the man I was before I became an unpaid father figure in someone else's story. Susan texted again. This time just 2 words. I'm sorry. I read it 3 times. Deleted it. Because respect can't be typed in a moment of guilt. It has to be lived. And if she didn't stand up when I was in the house, then there's no weight in her apology now that I'm gone. She let them burn me down. And now she's cold. Not my problem. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Liv never said that sentence. But I don't dwell on it. Because the truth is, she didn't create the rot. She revealed it. The moment I stopped paying, the walls collapsed. Because I wasn't a father. I was a scaffolding. A structure. And the moment I stepped away, they saw the truth. They never built anything of their own. Now I wake up before the alarm. The air feels cleaner in this place. Not because it's new. Not because it's quiet. But because no one here pretends. Hannah hums when she brushes her teeth. She lines up her pencils by color. Some mornings, she draws on the back of my grocery lists. Cats with capes, sharks with sunglasses. She shows me every one. She talks without waiting for approval. I listen without waiting for disrespect. That's what peace is. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of performance. Back at the old house, everything was theater. Every thank you dragged out of silence. Every good night said because Susan prompted it. Every meal eaten while someone rolled their eyes or texted under the table. Here we sit. We eat. We speak. No one flinches. There's no rotating dinner chart. No arguments about rides. No sarcastic thanks, John, as a stand-in for sincerity. Just my daughter. And me. She asked about Liv once. Do you think she meant it? She said. That you were just a wallet? I told her. I think she believed it. That's mean, she said. No, I said. It's worse. It's normal. To her. Hannah's quiet for a long time after that. Then she says, I don't want to be like that. You won't, I tell her. And I believe it. Because she saw the cost. She saw me hold doors open for people who never walked through them. She saw me carry bags upstairs for girls who didn't say thank you. She saw me eat cold food because someone else was late to the table. And she saw me stop. That's the lesson. Not revenge. Not anger. Just truth. The truth that a man can give and still be invisible. That sometimes the only way to be seen is to leave. I get letters now. From Casey, surprisingly. Short ones. Scribbled in pen. No return address. She says things like, I didn't know how to speak back then. And, I think about that night you fixed my bike. She never asks for money. Just sends memories. Small ones. A thank you wrapped in time. I don't reply. Not because I'm angry. Because I want her to keep writing until she believes the words herself. Liv never writes. But I heard she dropped out of college. Works at a boutique now. Lives with 2 roommates. Still posts photos with captions like, my real ones. Maybe she's happy. Maybe she's pretending. It doesn't matter. I'm not watching anymore. Susan sent one final message. A longer one. Said she realized too late what she allowed. Said she thought the silence was protection. Said she should have stood up. She ended with, "I'd take it back if I could. But that's the thing about letting rot fester. You can't unrotten a house. You can only burn it down or leave." I chose to leave. People ask me sometimes, coworkers, the few friends who stuck around, if I regret it. I tell them, regret is what you feel when you acted too fast. What I did was slow, methodical, measured. I gave them time to change. I gave them years. They gave me nothing. So I took nothing with me. Just my name, my daughter, and my soul. We built something new with that. Something small, but real. We go to the library every Saturday now. Just the two of us. She picks out novels with glitter covers. I read old crime paperbacks. Sometimes she falls asleep with her head on my lap, a book open in her hands. And I sit there, thinking, this is what family should feel like. Not earned with money, not bartered for attention, just held. I kept the old keys, not because I want to go back, but because I want to remember. I touch them sometimes, cold metal in my palm. Reminders of the house that never saw me, of the family that let me break, of the lesson carved into every silent dinner, every slammed door, every breath held too long. Respect isn't optional. And generosity without respect, that's just slavery with a smile. So now I live small, quiet, real. My daughter's drawings cover the fridge. Our laundry piles up sometimes. We eat too much cereal. But we laugh. And no one keeps score. I don't raise my voice. I don't walk on eggshells. I don't beg for recognition. If love needs prompting, it's not love. If respect needs reminding, it's not there. I used to think I failed them. But the truth? They failed themselves. They had someone who showed up, paid, listened, stood by them through contempt and cold shoulders. They threw him away, and now they live with that silence. So let me ask you, if your family saw you only as a wallet, if every act of love was met with rolled eyes and silence, would you have stayed? Would you have kept bleeding for people who refused to see you? Or would you have walked away like I did, not out of anger, but to reclaim the piece of yourself you gave up trying to belong? Tell me honestly, was I wrong? Or did I finally do what too many men are too afraid to do? Say enough.